We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes beyond the Walking Dead universe. I'm your host, David Cameo. I'm joined by Cosmom09, Rachel Bird, Sharon, the AK Blazy Gardner, that's staying in, and Bridget, ko-fi.com/Punky Brewster, that's PUNKYBRUISETER. We're here on a very bright and sunny Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. on the Eastern Seaboard. We're here to talk about the mid-season finale of Fear the Walking Dead's 8th and final season, the 6th episode titled All I See Is Red. There's some cool things in the merch store.
Get your shirt with our faces on them.
Yeah.
So weird that that's a thing, but
put me on your body.
Put me on your front part. Not your back part. Doesn't belong on the back part.
Put me on your front part. I want that on a t-shirt.
Bridget, I hope you got the solution that you wanted. No cure.
For this episode?
I hope you're satisfied with yourself.
That's not what it's simultaneously not what I wanted, though. Why would they make me root for this? Why would they make me root for a child to die?
Were you cheering?
So it turns out Finch is not immune. Finch got sick, and Finch passed in this episode. I kind of want to start from the end, though, if that's okay with everybody, where Dwight and Sherry split.
That shit pissed me off.
She came out the gate.
Hey, let's start with Rachel. First, this one.
You weren't even finished asking.
No.
That pissed me off.
She was right on time. It was like just poop, and then the tape continued. It just was.
I don't have any qualms about how it was written or anything like that. From watching these characters and everything that these characters have been through, now Dwight's like, whoa, I'm sorry. It was sort of like a Morgan moment, right? Like, everything's my fault. When we are together, bad things happen. And like, get the fuck over it. Yes, terrible things happen. Are terrible things going to stop happening because you're not together? No, terrible things are always going to happen. It's better to be together and comfort each other through the terrible things. What is splitting up going to do? And you know what? Fuck you, because you're going to get back together anyway. You're going to find each other and you're going to be like, oh my God, it's been so long. Oh, I love you. And then they're going to get back together anyway. So fuck you, skip the middle part and just...
Raleigh's dead, right? We killed him in the 60s. Right, okay.
Yes, Raleigh's dead.
They already spent several years apart, and they know bad things happen when even when they're separated.
Exactly.
My feeling was like, Dwight, you spent all of season 5 and 6 looking for Sherry. Mm-hmm. And now you found her, and now something happens. You're like, oh, fuck it, I'm done. What? Now, I get it, though. I get it, because this is grief talking. Grief has just twisted their thoughts into the only way we can make anything better is to be apart, blah, blah, blah.
Which is ironic.
I'm not saying the grief will pass, but they'll come back to themselves and be like, this was the wrong decision. I got the feeling that Sherry wasn't really into it. She was just going along with it for Dwight. Like, yeah, you're right. Let's just...
Well, Sherry's like adrift mentally. She's
right.
Like,
so it's like the question is, when they both come back to it, is Sherry going to be like, no, you fucking dumped me at my lowest point, and now I don't fucking want anything to do with you? Because she needs comforting too. It's her son too. And he's just going to cut her loose to be on her own. That's
I hope
pretty
she sees
shitty.
what you do and that it's just grief. And he's speaking from a place of sadness and not rational thought.
I can't remember who I had a conversation with. I think it was Jaden Lalonde on Instagram. And we were talking about this. Oh, no, it was also Kira. I think it was Kira who I was talking about in the spoiler chat. And one of the things I had said was, because we were going back and forth on the things about this season that they could have done better in terms of what people were registering as talking down to you, like too much dialogue to explain the situation rather than just showing us. Show us the things rather than tell us the thought process you had. But this is one of those things, in my opinion. We had said that it would have been just a lot better to have had that scene implied and not shown it. Oh, they split up. They went their separate ways. This way, in our heads, we could think of all the different ways it could have gone down rather than watching it live. The reason for that is you ask yourself the question, why did they do that? And then you sort of answer it by saying, oh yeah, like many people who lose a child, sometimes it breaks them.
Yeah.
But because we had to see it, there was a sort of like an interesting cognitive dissonance. You're watching it happen and you're like, hey, but after all you've been through, but if you don't get to watch it happen, you can actually buy in because you say, oh, it must have been so horrible that they couldn't even be together anymore. And then you think of all the different ways. I
actually completely agree with that. I think had I not heard an explanation from Dwight, this might be sitting with me a little bit better.
Thanks, Kira and I write the show.
No, it is very true because in real life, there are a lot of couples that can't get through the loss of a child together. It's sad, but it is a real thing. And that's probably where my brain would have gone had I not heard an explanation from Dwight.
It's another instance of horrible writing. I'm sorry, but this writing was bad. This was a badly
Bridget,
done
you just
scene.
you pulled it Goldberg and Chambliss by explaining that it was what I implied that it was bad.
It's so awful. No,
I love you
because Dave, like, even if they didn't speak, this was still an issue of not showing the correct amount of passing of time. Their child died, they buried him, and they immediately break up. That's not how this works, dude.
By the way, that's how we got to that conclusion, because what we'd said was if we had seen him carry the body over time, silhouettes in the distance, and had that time to absorb what they were doing at the moment, when they finally get to actually talking about it, you feel there's a weight that's being passed through the course of the episode.
That's the problem, though.
So when you lead to that moment,
it's a recurring issue that we've seen in this season, and probably even in season 7. I maybe just couldn't verbalize it, but there's just a genuine lack of showing a passage of time. It's so weird because they used the red device for Morgan in this episode, which was a great way to show the passing of time. What are you guys doing?
Or like an intentional way to not show the passage of time, meaning time is fucked up and here's why. And that's fine. That's fine. You'd be like, oh, your timing is going to be messed up because you're in Morgan's shoes. I lost time. Okay, now that makes sense. You've given yourself an excuse. But that's how we led to that conclusion. Because you can't really carry that grief throughout the episode in little spots, it would have been better to actually have the moment we'll get to in a second, then imply and not even show them. That was my point. It's not, don't even show them. Just have somebody say in passing, yeah, Dwight went to go back to Virginia or something, whatever it is.
I get that you can't look at each other anymore because looking at each other reminds you of the child that you do not have anymore. And you lost so much time with him to begin with, and you finally got him back, and then everything fell apart. There's so much emotion there. There's such a great story to tell, and you told it in the stupidest possible way. That could have been beautifully done.
You're saying the moment, that particular moment, or like the whole story?
The whole thing.
To go back to what you said about passing of time, having a time frame is necessary if we're to care about these characters, because we don't know Finch. We don't know him at all. They're just jumping through time. We have no idea how long they've been together. Finch loves his parents now, just out of the blue. He's been conditioned his whole life to not care, because it feels like this is in a span of 2 days, because they're not giving us any kind of time frame.
I think
I don't see how we're supposed to think this is realistic or care about it when it's so disjointed. And it's the same thing with the kids changing their mind. They've been conditioned their whole lives to believe in Padre, but in 2 days, they've changed their mind completely, all of them.
But I like what they did with them in this episode. They really stuck to their guns and stuck with Padre.
I'm not saying I didn't like it. They hurt the story by not letting us know what the hell's going on, time-wise.
Where do you think Dwight went? He said he went to go home. Well, where is home?
Which is so weird because he was told if he ever went back, he would be killed. So it's like,
right.
Why is that his go-to area? He's like, I'm going to go back there.
That kind of fits his character too, because I think there is a part of him that is somewhat like Morgan. It's time to go back and right the wrongs, or go back and clean house, fix what I broke, that sort of situation.
Well,
but Daryl said he was going to kill you. You did right your wrongs.
I think maybe he would be okay with that.
I mean, it's been like 10 years.
We know that Daryl would be over it, right? But Dwight doesn't know that.
I think it doesn't matter.
Maybe he meant home as in like his childhood home or something, and maybe he's from somewhere else and we don't know.
Maybe it's a different area of Virginia.
Hey, Mitchell.
Hey, Mitchell. Hey, Jasmine. Sorry, officially. Well, let's say what Jasmine said also. Rip Finch. So much of the season's problems come from quote unquote bad writing. I mean, is it bad writing, quote unquote, or actual bad? Anyway, they've got good characters and ideas, but they just can't seem to express them in an effective way.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree.
To that end, it really does go back to what I have been saying, which I know it sounds like almost a cop-out, but it really isn't. If they would have been given a little bit more time to flesh that out, more episodes, more time per episode, they could have probably given us enough weight, enough indicators on the passage of time, logistics, space, to be able to actually make that scene have a little bit more, even if it's just a little bit more impact. That would have been enough for me. Add in a few more scenes of them carrying Finch or talking about maybe breaking up.
I think that there's some sort of missing portion of it, that they cut it out. But yeah, exactly what Jasmine's saying. Like, what's their excuse for season 7 then? I can't trust it because they've chosen to do such stupid things with writing and scripting. And don't get me wrong, direction has been beautiful. Cinematography has been killer. The acting has been phenomenal. All of that has been, but the writing is just not good, which is frustrating because everybody else is giving it their all. So it's like so hard to see that.
Poor Lenny James too. This episode beat him up. Let's throw Lenny James in mud.
Finch,
Let's knock
yeah,
him down
like
a
Lenny
couple
James
times.
was killer in this episode. Finch, this kid, the
This
depth
kid.
of emotion that you felt from him was
Gavin
like
Warren.
unreal.
That kid is amazing. Okay, if Dwight, let's say, is going to Alexandria, where do you think Sherry's going to go? Do you think she might stay? What I mean by that also with Dwight, he's just like Morgan is off the show. Is that maybe what we're going with?
I don't know that that was confirmed, and I didn't watch the episode or
I
Insider.
want to say
didn't
no,
either.
that
I
Austin
think-
is not leaving. I'm again basing that on the fact that he was at the wrap,
Which is
when they
not a
were
good
wrapping.
indicator.
They could always come back for reshoots and stuff. I don't think
Mhm.
Dwight is leaving. I think he and Sherry are going to be back together again. He's going to try to leave, or something's going to happen, and he'll come back, or something like that. I don't think that's the end of them.
Why'd you laugh, Rachel?
It might be like the next episode. Dwight's gonna be like, "I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was saying.
I'm
We
having
gotta-
a
we
deja
gotta be-
vu, aren't I?
We gotta stick together and get through this
It's
together."
like the
and,
same trope. They just keep playing it out over and over again. They're like, we
Right.
don't know what to do with them.
I'm having deja vu over somebody leaving and then coming back. Like Alicia.
It's
like
literally
Nick,
this story again.
like Nick.
Like Alicia,
Yeah.
she left and came back like an episode later.
As far as Sherry goes, I would think that she would stay, because I can't really see her striking off on her own again. Not that
I could
she's
see
not
her going to
capable.
look for Mickey.
Uh,
I don't think they're
That's
revisiting
the
that again.
only thing I could see her.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I could see her leaving to do. That's it. I can, or I guess trying to get even with Negan.
I think she's put that to bed.
I would say more Dwight.
I think she's at a really stable emotional spot right now where she can put all that in her past. I mean,
Stable enough.
she was in a really unhealthy place.
Again,
Yeah.
it feels like it was like a day ago that she brought it up. So I don't know.
Meanwhile, it's like 7-8
There's
years.
no passage of time. So
Dwight even mentioned it in that scene together. He's like, it's not like it's Negan or whoever else he mentioned. I can't remember now.
Like it's like us.
Shrike.
is basically
Virginia,
the point.
Shrike,
Yeah.
whatever.
Shrike, yeah.
I had always regarded Dwight as somewhat as previously I kind of called him stupid, but really he's a simple spoken man. He has wise ideas. He sometimes brings up nuggets, but he's a simple spoken person, which is why I said, maybe not have this dialogue. Maybe not. I don't know if it's going to go over very well with everybody else. It's not Austin. It's definitely the way he's written, of course. Austin's beautiful. He's just a beautiful dude. All in all, but
I'm just like,
What?
in my mind, I'm cutting this part of the episode out. This part didn't happen.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretending like it's off screen. To
Gonna
be
carve
honest,
They
with you.
also
That's it.
didn't
Just don't
tell
really
us the
think
name
about
that
it.
they would have chosen for Finch, because Dwight even says, Finch, that's the name Padre gave him. And Sherry says,
But he made it his own.
But
No, the way she
well,
said it was such a.
uh,
She was so defensive about it, like they had talked about it before or something, but we didn't see it.
It's-
So
I like to think they would have called him John.
right.
I do too, but I
Mhm.
think I agree with Sherry though. Whatever it was, the secret sauce that made them his son, that part of him is part of it too. That the time in Padre is part of that sauce. So he lived up to whatever name he was given. It's fine. And like a bird.
Which isn't a
like,
bad name. It's
Yeah,
not a
and
bad name.
we went over the meaning and symbolism. It's fair. It's fair. Well, I think we all kind of agreed though too. Like, oh, it's still a beautiful name, and why not?
Even in the apocalypse, Sherry's fucking wardrobe was banging, because I loved that guy
Right?
she had on.
Ah.
Sherry, what underwear are you wearing? Never mind. I don't really want to know. Post-apocalyptic. She's wearing big granny drawers, a couple of them.
it's a piece of burlap I fashioned. underwear.
There's a little cotton in the front and the back, just for comfort.
They're see-through, but just because they're so old.
There's a couple of them. It's translucent now.
Thong
Yeah.
save material.
Yeah. One of the highlight moments in the episode, outside of anything Lenny James was doing this episode, which some of it was pretty stellar. There's one moment that really got me hardcore, and I think it might have gotten some of you too, when it came time for Dwight to decide what to do with Shrike after June catches her. He's about to lift the walkie to his mouth to say, and maybe he doesn't know exactly what, but Finch grabs his hand and puts it down and he goes, nobody should have to feel that pain. I'm like, oceans of tears. That fucking kid did make his name his own.
He's
What a fucking
great.
kid. What a fucking kid.
What a great child actor. People are always like, child actors are the worst.
Not always.
Yeah, people say that a lot.
Just us.
Especially in regards to Fear. It was a beautiful moment.
Well, let's show Sharondy what she showed me earlier, and it's this.
No!
For the audio podcast, what we're watching is it's the meme with Grant Gustin over a grave, right? It's usually Grant Gustin. Is that his name?
Right, yeah. Over
And
Oliver Queen. Oliver
right.
Queen's grave.
Oliver Queen dies and whatever. Sorry, spoiler alert. Who cares? WB shows. It's like a behind the scenes photo, and he's flashing the peace sign towards the camera. But instead of Grant Gustin's face, it's Bridget's head. And Finch is on the gravestone. Like she's smiling. It's not even a shit angry. She's really happy about Finch being dead.
I'm not happy about it. Like, why?
Why did they do this?
See, this is my problem. Why would the writers do this to me? They're like, we've come up with a cure, but if we haven't, this kid dies. Compelling stuff, right, folks? And you're like, no, I didn't want a cure, but I also didn't want this kid to die. So you guys are jerks for even making this a thing.
I didn't want to say this at all.
Jerks.
I had held back because I didn't know how to feel about it. But kind of like what they did with the second episode of season 7 with the baby
Frank and B.
Their baby was actually dead in the burlap luggage, right? And it was rattling around. And you have to kind of give it to Fear the Walking Dead for at least going there. And they kind of took it a step further with Finch, and you actually get to meet the kid, and he talks, and he does cool moments like holding Dwight's hand from making her feel a ton of pain, which he was really ready to have her do earlier on in the episode until June says, let me do it. You need to do what I couldn't for my daughter, what Morgan was trying to do with Mo. Let me do this thing. Let me be that person for you that nobody could be for me. The fact that Fear kind of went there, they killed a child. Well, whatever way it was, kid got bit, and we got to meet him, and it sucks, but in a way, just like the last season of The Walking Dead kind of put kid gloves for the most part until the last episode. They kind of held off into the last episode. I had said also in the last episode, just go all out, do the things, make some impacts, make some decisions that might ruffle some feathers, take chances. As shaky as the writing has been, I want to say bad all out, because it's hard to say bad to me because bad means, okay, this is unwatchable in my eyes. It's shaky, it's bumpy. There are things that aren't great about it, but I wouldn't say it was bad, but they're taking chances at least. I don't like it, but I also like it. That fucking kid. What an amazing kid. And even Jasmine says that was such a good moment.
Except I wanted them to just go ahead and torture her. Finch wouldn't know. Just do it.
Can I tell you?
I thought for a second that might be what June was going to do.
I was like thinking of you, Sharondy, when Dwight, make it quick, and then June would be like, "This is the moment." She's carving her knives, and Sharondy's gonna be like jizzing all over the screen. It's like great. It's more than you deserve. Shaboom.
When Shrike was, do it, give me the radiation. June was like, nope. I was like, yeah, just like Virginia. Virginia wanted to cut her hand off after she got bit. June's like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. Just gonna let you die. That's cool.
Yeah, this got
savage in her own way.
She did the pay it forward thing though, which I actually liked, and I think you liked it too. Which was, hey Ben, she basically said you take care of it, which she could have done it herself, and you would have been fine with it. What?
But then she left. I would have stood there and made sure it happened. I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't trust him.
You know what? Why? Because you got to put that all on him, and that's not your business. And even if she doesn't get to do it, she'll bite him.
She could have stayed behind outside too. She didn't have to be there in the train car with him.
I think she did because she said, if you don't do it, I will.
Right.
Yeah. So it seems like she was like, I'll give you your time. It's very within her character though, to give them the time together despite them not deserving it, to honor Dwight and Sherry's wishes despite the fact that that isn't what was deserved.
Well, I also like that gesture, that Finch gesture to Dwight carried through to June. She knows that was the power of a child saying, why? What's the point? I'm here with you now. What's the point? What happened?
The shot from Shrike's vantage point when she's looking up at June in the walker head, And I don't know which one was scarier. I don't know if I'd be more scared of June or the Walker head, because June was like fucking terrifying.
I was a little terrified.
Holy shit, that look is like, damn.
Are we going to go full Carol Pelletier on this moment right now? Is that what's happening right now? I honestly felt the same way. And I actually recently had a conversation about that as well. Yeah, with my friend on Saturday night. I was like, around the time of the prison, I never knew what Carol was going to do next. All the way through to season 9, at least. Season 10, actually. Because A, there's no source material, but B, there's just no telling. So
She's
when
unpredictable.
I saw June, I was like,
predictably unpredictable.
Right, exactly. Terrifying.
Nothing's out of character for her. Mm-hmm. Anything she does, you're like, yep.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, I guess that's a new thing that she does now. Burn a bunch of people.
We're doing this now.
I'll never forget that.
Yep.
No, that's fine. So why is there thing burning people all the time? What is with burning people? Is that your thing? I like the fact that we know better. As much as you kind of do want to see June break bad. There's a party that's like,
she
am I
did
going to
break
lose
bad,
her?
and that was awesome. I'm like, yeah, all right. She broke bad. She went savage.
She cracked bad. She cracked bad. It was going to break it.
She can go back. She can go back.
She maybe bent it a little bit. She bent it. She didn't break it.
The thing is, she's not putting up with anybody's shit anymore. That's the most important thing.
Love it.
She's
100%
done with it.
love it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's like somewhere in between now. That's the perfect blend. Well, why don't we go to Shrike's death? Why don't we cover all these little stories and then
go backwards,
really hit the big part?
I sort of predicted that in a sense, that what if we put Shrike in a similar situation to, say, Morgan, where you see a loved one that you kind of abandoned and you left for dead. She left him for dead in that container for the better part of 13 years, not handling it. And for a reason, too. Her reason was obviously kind of like Mo's reason in this episode. Mo is pissed off at Morgan. We kind of pointed out in the last episode, you betrayed me, or you betrayed Mom, let's say. Well, Dad, you betrayed us. You left us. And it doesn't matter the circumstances. Kids are weird. They'll be angry at you, even if it's not your fault. You abandoned me. That's how I registered that moment. And when he comes around, it's like this reminder that maybe it wasn't all about the bad parts. That's what the flashbacks were all about.
It made me think of Maggie in season 11 when she saw the little dead Walker kid following her and almost let it bite her, because she was so freaked out that it was a little Walker kid. Same, and I talked about Game of Thrones in that too, where the wildling lady saw the little dead kids and then she just froze and let them all eat her. What are you doing? A, it's not like you haven't seen your dad dead before. You saw him right after he died. This is not a shock.
Because she didn't deal with any of her emotions. They're really bludgeoning it on home. There was no finesse with this. She wasn't able to let any of that stuff go because she didn't deal with it. And that's what she was forcing all those kids to do. Instead of dealing with what might happen with your parents, we just won't deal with anything.
Bingo.
Mo, don't think about your mom being dead. We'll just come do this instead. They were trying to drive that point home, but you could have done it a little bit better.
A little bit
it was so
better.
ham-fisted.
I think they could have showed a little bit more cracks in Shrike's psyche.
Like, she's like, I'm gonna kill you all, and then like the very next second she's freaking out and dropping the gun and letting him bite her. Props to Maya Eshet. All right, Maya, you did the best you could do. When she looks back to Morgan and Madison and she kind of has like a smile, but also she's really freaking out at the same time, that was beautiful. Man, fucking props to you.
What did you register in that moment?
I get to see my dad again, but also look at my dad. And I know she probably blames herself, right? Even though it was not her fault in any way. If anybody, blame your stupid brother for running after your dad for his dumb binoculars, which if you had just kept the fucking binoculars there, you wouldn't have wouldn't have happened in the first place, since that's where the coordinates were. Okay, whatever.
Well, I mean, they didn't know that it was there. They said it's the only possible place after going through it all.
I guess it's kind of the grand irony that if he hadn't run after him with the binoculars, then they would have had him the whole fucking time.
I think that's pretty cool.
But Maya Eshet, you were awesome. The expression on your face, fantastic. She also went down almost as silently as her dad did, because she only cried a little bit.
That scene got me more than any other scenes this episode.
I don't know. When I saw her look back at Morgan, and who was there at that time? Morgan and Madison. I think she was saying with her face, I kind of get it. I get what you were fighting for. And I don't think it was my fault or it was my brother's fault. I don't think that's what that face was. I think that face was, why did I let my grief spill over to all these children and families? And she's looking at parents who had lost their children. I mean, Madison, of course, but Morgan had lost in the first place. She knows why he went out there he reiterated it over and over in King County, and they wouldn't listen to him.
Wait. Before you go any further, it just dawned on me. They're airing this on Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, everybody.
They did the same thing with Mother's Day.
It's a sick, twisted sense of humor, and I love it.
With you guys?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I'll never stop loving it. Athena, and now Happy Father's Day. All I see is Father's Day red.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
There's no
Great.
way that those binoculars were still around his neck after 12 years in a swamp or in the containers, whatever. You're in Georgia. It's humid. Shit rots. Your face is rotting, but yet these magical binocular straps are still holding it. I'm sorry. I know it's a minor gripe, but it's just so ridiculous.
If it was a nylon strap, it could last.
And these are military grade binoculars. It's just not like toy binoculars.
I'm not saying anything about the binoculars. I'm just talking about the straps.
I actually vehemently disagree. Other than the binoculars themselves, which is something that you can grab on. No, because I've seen posts like this on mostly Reddit because they're fucking awful. Hand to God, they're awful. But the fact that these walkers, they don't sit down and take a break. They don't get tired. They don't lean on things because they're like, oh man, my left leg's like, no, they're standing up and perpetually moving about, feeling no pain, feeling no gain, maybe a little loss, except for his face. But we've made that observation before. The people that we want to be more noticeable, just because the show needs to make them a little bit more noticeable, make them more noticeable rather than rot it off and whatnot, etc. But these are like perpetual motion machines. They don't take a break. So it would stand to reason. And they're in this crowded space, but they really don't have anywhere to go, mostly. So I could see that being a thing.
I have a bigger problem that Madison just walks over and immediately knows there's a secret hiding compartment in them.
That's something other people have said too, but I'm sorry to say, just like Shrike was able to go, sorry, no, you can't do that in the last episode. They were listening into their conversations as well. So
no one knew there was a secret hiding place in the binoculars. They thought the coordinates were like in a pocket somewhere.
Shrike says they've got to be in the binoculars. I don't know why that's what she said, but she said it on the walkie.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't
So
remember
must have
hearing
had
that line.
Yeah, she did.
I don't remember hearing that line.
She says it. It was so weird because I was like, why is that where you would assume they would be is in the binoculars? Why wouldn't it be in his pocket?
Yeah.
He's got like a bajillion pockets. He's wearing a cargo vest and cargo pants.
No,
like, he's
first
got
thing,
like so many pockets.
So I was thinking it was because when they showed their backstory, didn't they say something like the binoculars are so you can see what's coming or something? So it would be like some kind of symbolic thing to have where they're going, the forward-looking Padre in the binoculars or something like that.
He doesn't go anywhere without his binoculars.
Reaching, but I'm doing it.
When the dad put him in there, he's like, this will have great symbolism later.
Right.
Let me hide these in here.
Whenever he looks up, he's like, yep, they're still there. They're still there. I can see my future. My future is bright.
The swamp walkers were fucking choice. That one walker, I don't remember exactly what part it was, but you could see like the mushrooms and shit growing out of its neck, and it was all
they were gnarly.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Some of the touches were actually really cool too, like just simple touches. Like there was this one woman walker with I think the red shirt or something. It's when Morgan and Mo were in the swamp, and he's flipping back and forth between clear is not clear. She's taking that woman walker himself. She's taking her on. And she just has this big bubble of neck,
a different one.
And it's just amazing. And she's discolored and greenish, whitish, bluish. She looks like a monster.
They put out a casting call for people with goiters.
Yeah.
If you got a goiter,
come on over.
You up.
I have so many minor pet peeves in this episode, but there's so many that all together it's annoying.
They combine and form Voltron peeve.
Pretty much. Like how 1 second Morgan's telling Madison, you'll never find the boathouse. You could be standing 10 feet next to it and you wouldn't see it. And then the next scene is Mo being like, oh, there's the boathouse. And she's like,
I did note that. Yeah.
And he's like, it's all overgrown. You can't see it. Like it's white out in the middle of the open water. Like,
she saw through the reeds. That's fine. But
I mean, when they're standing there outside of it, it's like all this open water around it and it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
I guess your everyday audience doesn't, right? Your casual viewer doesn't really notice these things because they just watch it once and then they move on. But they're counting on nobody ever thinking about these episodes. It doesn't matter. Just put it out there. Nobody's going to notice.
But I'm comfortable with the thought that Baby Mo, I'm going to still call her Baby. I'm going to call her Baby Mo forever, is pretty fucking bright. At least there's reason to think that she's smart enough to have found it.
Well, absolutely.
There's a pattern
absolutely.
with
No,
her.
I am on board
Yeah.
with that. But what I'm saying is,
She's
like,
super clever.
she saw it. You could see it with your eyeballs. And they were super far. They were much more than 10 feet away. And Morgan's like, you'll never find it. You could be 10 feet away. And
But to her credit, she saw it like through some reeds, and it was only her who saw it at the time. It was not the other kids couldn't
Not
see
when
it.
Madison. When Madison
I
got
could
there,
see
it was
it.
wide open.
Because you have a camera that was
All right.
looking at it.
So
Just kidding, okay.
here's the thing with Mo. I've noticed. Here's a pattern I've noticed. Whatever Morgan tells her to do, she wants to do the exact opposite. I
mean,
want
isn't
you
that a
to
kid,
go
though?
back
That's
to
a kid.
Padre. No, I don't want to go back to Padre. Okay, I want you to stay with me. No, I want to go back to Padre. I want you to get on the boat. No, I don't want to get on the boat. Okay, don't get on the boat. No, I'm going to get on the boat. What the fuck, kid? Every
that's
single thing he says, she wants to do the opposite. Or
that's a
she does
typical
the
child.
opposite.
That's anyone's child.
That's so
That
consistent.
is so real.
Have I ever told you the story about how I broke my leg? My dad had a bunch of people over, and I'm 5 years old or 6 years old, and I'm like, oh, I want to stay up. I'm not going to bed. It's like a Bugs Bunny. It's like a Looney Tunes thing. He's like, you're going to bed. He's like, he has his hands on his hip. He has a big, I don't know why he has this big Texan belt buckle. Don't ask. And I'm like, I am not going to bed. He's like, you are going to bed. He's like, I'm not going to bed. And he goes, okay, you're not going to bed. And I'm like, I'm going to bed. I head, for some reason, like he psychologically fucked me up, and I head straight for his belt buckle. I stumble back and fall down the stairs.
What the hell?
I wake up in so much pain. Everybody's around me. Like, what happens? Like, you said you were going to go to bed, but I didn't think you would. And then you just bumped into me. My legs folded in on themselves as I was hurtling backwards.
What are you, made of paper?
No. And then I was on the second story, and then I fell back down the stairs like a whole story. And
Are you made of paper?
and then
He's
I'm
Mr.
on his
Glass.
back, and he's taking me to the fucking
Bird
emergency
over
room.
here.
He felt so bad, like it's because he knew what he was doing. He's thinking, okay, if I change it around, he'd be like, yeah, my bad, I fucked with him. Now he's in the hospital. He's got to get a cast at 3 a.m. or something.
Aha, joke's on you. Now you're not getting out of bed for a
broken
while.
leg. Jesus Christ. But that shit's real.
No, that's
That
the
shit's
point
real.
is that's very typical of children. If you want them to do something, you tell them to do the opposite, and then they do the thing that you actually want them to
Well, Morgan has not figured that out, apparently.
do. Right? Yeah, no
Until
kidding.
the end, and until he said, you know what? All right.
I'm going to let you go. And then she's like, no, I want to be with you forever.
If you love something, set it free.
Then they'll just cling on you like cling flame. What? Cling flame?
Cling wrap?
Cling wrap?
Cling wrap?
Plastic wrap?
Cling
Saran wrap?
Are you saying cling
Cling
flame?
cling flames. Yeah, Jasmine, cling film. That's what I was thinking. Thank you.
You were not saying the word film. By
I know,
any
I wasn't
means.
saying it, but
No.
she knew what I was trying to
Not
say.
even close. Cling film.
Cling flame.
That's weird. Cling film.
Flim. Thank you, Jasmine.
Flim.
Just like what we do
Flim?
with the show,
Nope.
we always try to figure out what they're trying to say. How did you feel about that scene? How going in
Wait,
there
which one
and
are we
saying,
talking about now?
oh, I was afraid to lose you and lose myself in the process. Credit to this episode. At least they built that up appropriately. The one thing that they did in this episode was build up that I lose people, I lose myself. Going clear means feeling like you've already lost, like you lost your kid. I like that the kids stood their ground. I like that they fought really hard, but I also like that they couldn't kill their parents. I'm going to say there for just brevity. There's something powerful and innate about that.
Okay, so there's one of the parent actors. I don't know who it is. I don't know what her character name is, but it's the not Odessa's mom. Do you know what I'm talking about? That woman with the short hair. The acting chops on this woman who's been given next to no lines is over the top.
Are you okay?
There are scenes like where she's in the background, they're talking, and her facial expressions are
Top-notch.
dead. It's so good. It's
Top-notch.
so
She's
good.
she stands
Yeah,
out. She
she was
definitely stands
awesome.
out because I
She
like
does.
her
Something
a
about
lot.
her
Yeah.
face. She had a real intensity that we just weren't getting from the other parents.
Yeah.
And it was just enough too.
Yeah.
Also, because you know how sometimes background actors can be like, and like, dude, just you're good where you are. Just don't overact. You're good. She was definitely just enough. She makes up for maybe the lack of it in some of the parents, let's say, and that's fine too. These parents, they've been through hell. That's appropriate. But I like that the kids didn't kill their parents. I'm just gonna say there. I like that they stood their
She
ground
shares
as well.
a really good look with the girl who was holding a gun on her.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And it made me think, is that her daughter?
Right. That's
And they're
exactly.
and she's gonna get that.
That was exactly what I thought too.
There were a lot of moments where I thought one of the parents were gonna like recognize the kid. The Hawk dynamic with the guy that he was holding a gun on. I'm
kid, man, though.
I know. I was like waiting for the guy to be like, I don't know. I used to sing to you, you know, like the lady did to Dove or something. I don't know. I kept waiting for something to happen between those two, and they didn't.
Are you glad that they didn't, though? In a way.
It is what it is. It didn't happen. I mean, okay. I don't write the show, obviously. I didn't really feel anything one way or another about it not happening. But what I was like, I don't know, had some type of feeling about was Crane and Dove, but like mostly Crane was like yelling at the kids, like, pull the trigger, as he's holding a gun on Daniel, not pulling the trigger.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, Dove, you so excited to kill somebody. Why don't you grab a gun and shoot somebody?
Yeah, why don't you do it? Or Crane standing there with a gun on Daniel.
The first thing I thought was Bridget is going to love this scene because Daniel is calling back to his childhood.
I did.
Yeah.
And you were the first person I thought of when I was watching it.
A certain someone messaged me, Mitchell, and said, did you watch the episode yet? Did you watch the episode yet? And I was like, no, I haven't had time. This was Thursday morning. And he's like, I don't think you're going to like the end. And I was like, oh God, what the hell? The whole latter half of the episode, I was like, what happens? What happens? What happens? What happens? What happens?
Didn't that make it better though?
No.
I thought I thought that Dove was going to shoot Daniel. Like, I thought that she was going to be like, I thought she was going to be like, if no one's going to do it, like she was just going to turn and shoot. And I was so scared for Daniel in that whole scene. I was terrified because I was like, no, this is why I wouldn't like it, because it's my favorite
that's
character.
What I'm saying, Rachel.
AJ did the same shit to me, except he messaged me and he's like, this might be your most favorite episode of all time. And I'm like, all right, what the fuck does that mean? You're gonna fuck somebody up?
First of all, don't trust anybody anymore.
Morgan's gonna die? I'm like, what the fuck?
You guys.
So then at the end, I was like, AJ, what are you talking about? He goes, I just knew how happy you'd be that Madison was taken over. I'm like, you fucker. I watched the whole episode going, what the hell's gonna happen? Why is this gonna be my favorite? Morgan's gonna die. AJ, I'm calling you out, you little shit.
So Mitchell's on our shit list. AJ's on our shit list.
No, I will say this. It did force me to have more buy-in on the episode than I probably would have had initially otherwise. I'm not mad at Mitchell. I was just like, why would you do this to me? Like the whole latter half, I'm like, why would you do this to me? I'm so worried.
Guys, I know you think you're giving us non-spoilery hints or whatever, but
it's not working.
You're just
don't give us anything.
No, just don't message me on Thursday mornings, please.
You're like frazzled. You're like, I know. You're looking around every corner just be like to not see a spoiler. You're like, okay, is that a spoiler? The internet is dark and full of terrors.
I did really enjoy that scene with Daniel. I loved that he called back to his origins. But the one thing I wanted to bring up, and it has to do with Shrike's death scene and her getting bit by her father, but it also has to do with Crane, is that I don't know if this is intentional, but it seemed more apparent to me on the second watch. They looked more like children in this episode than they had to me in previous episodes. I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know if there was like a makeup choice or if they got them bigger clothing or something, but like something about them, like, you know what I mean? Like
they're like,
you kind of like
kids in
you
adult
like give them
clothing.
like slightly bigger stuff so that they look
smaller. Yeah.
Ill-fitted.
Crane was giving me super John Cryer vibes for some reason, like with the little neckerchief around his neck. And
he's Ducky, but like the worst version of Ducky.
Ducky!
I mean, I ride past the shipyard every day on my bicycle.
That fits the bird category too. He's Ducky.
And so it was like these two kids were playing adults. And it became very obvious to me in the second run through. They're trying to be adults and they're not. And it could have been nothing. It could have been that it just dawned on me during that rewatch that they really are acting like petulant children.
Or like abandoned children trying to play adults.
And like the scene with where Ben is screaming at the kids was such a like tantrum that that kind of is where it started, where I was like, they look younger for some reason here. Like, what's going on?
He's trying to get somebody else to do it because he can't. Because you're sitting there going, you have the gun, you're waving it around. Why don't you do it? Show him how it's done even. You could get the ball rolling.
Why was that gun so sick?
Dude, it was pretty fucking wild.
That gun was awesome.
And why wouldn't he, right? He'd have the coolest gun. I'm Crane. This is Shrike. And then meet Padre. No, you don't get to meet Padre. You don't get to meet the daddy.
But it just adds to his childish nature. He's such a kid that he looks for the biggest, coolest gun.
That is the thing to not get lost on. It's that they're all the same. he's not that much older than them either way. They're not even in their 30s. They're in their mid 20s, etc., or whatever it is, or late 20s even. Let's give them that much. And not having your dad or losing your parents that early on in this kind of world where you don't have any rearing and you forcibly don't have rearing. The adults that you take on in this community, they're not parent figures. They're not taking care of you. You're taking care of them effectively under the guise that somebody else is up there. General Krennic is up there. He doesn't show himself to anybody. So they're assuming that role and they're trying to figure it out along the way, but all under the guise of he abandoned us. It doesn't matter that the facts are that it wasn't his fault, it wasn't his choice, or that he did it for them. He abandoned us. They went off of that anger and trauma and put it on him, on their dad this whole time. And when she saw him again, all of that came flooding back. All the good times came flooding back. She was trying to erase him the whole time. She was trying to be like a Shrike. She was trying to take the memory of him and grab it by the neck, snip the little thing so they can't move, and then just bash him against the... That's what she was doing to his memory the entire time until she finally saw him again. That's the look that I saw on her face. That look of sort of that he did exist. She was almost happy that that he existed. There's something so beautiful about rewatching that moment, which I didn't get to see again, but I'm seeing it in my head. I was happy for that moment because the irony isn't lost on me. Everybody has their own way of processing grief. Obviously, some are more dramatic than others, like killing people and walkers. But this to me seemed to, in a way, like when it came to seeing her father again, it seemed to be more natural. The idea of trying to erase the memory, it's too painful. The idea of him is too painful. We have to survive somehow. Can we go back to like impressions before we do that though?
It was decent. Of course, my number one episode for the half season is going to be June's, right? That's without saying. But I like this probably better than any other episode of the season other than June.
Are you saying this is like a number 2?
Yeah.
Oh, even more than King County.
Yeah, I liked King County, but I like this because it had everybody in it too. And there was things in this episode, just like King County, all the Walking Dead callbacks. Other than the nitpicky things, I liked it. It was good enough that I watched it 3 times, and I didn't feel like, oh my god, I never want to watch this shit again, like I have with a few of the other ones.
Right, you're like, okay, this was first watched. Let's go.
And I kind of had a revelation when Mo was saying goodbye to Madison, when she and Morgan were leaving, that Mo and Morgan are Madison's Amina. To honor her children, she took the 2 broken birds under her wing and helped them, and they continue to live. And that fits in with the bird theme. I was like, man, okay, I got that. For a small instant, I didn't hate Madison. A small instant.
Got me a little choked up there, actually. Well, because I remember that episode. Was it Close Your Eyes?
It was No One's Gone.
I'm referring to 409. The Charlie episode? No, 410. Close Your Eyes. The dead bird that was clogging up the flue. I just it was Amina all over again.
To honor Nick and Alicia, she took the baby bird and fixed her and let her fly away.
And this is her thing now. Her thing is to mend these birds, which also kind of takes me to the parents and the children and the kids not being able to kill the parents. And I say they're parents mostly because it kind of goes to, I think, something that you said, Sharon, or where the idea of found family means that your community, that all these parents are all these children's parents. When you look at them, they might as well be their parents at this stage. Like, even though Madison's going to work really hard, let's just say, match these kids up with their real biological parents, right, Rachel? But for all... I laughed so hard when I rewatched the last episode we did. And I'm sorry, I felt bad because I did cut you off because you were trying to say the thing that we usually say, no, it's their parents. And usually, oh yeah, I actually felt that they were mother and daughter. And I'm so sorry. I felt bad. But for all intents and purposes, these parents are all these kids' parents. That's how it could be. Let's say like in Alexandria.
They're like Schrodinger's parents. They're all your parents until one is your parent. Until
they're not. Exactly. You look into the box. Like the Judith situation. Oh, but all these people are really Judith's parents, essentially. They all kind of raise it. Right. And now it's a bunch of parents, actual parents taking care of all these kids. It's just beautiful. Just like with the kids in season 5, they could just not do anything with that and I'd be fine with that. Unlike the kids in season 5, we don't know what their fate was, essentially. They're basically
wouldn't
dust.
it have been perfect if they showed up in Padre? They're all a bunch of kids.
We have half a season to go. Maybe they can wrap that up.
And all their parents were already dead, so it'd be perfect.
Wouldn't that be pretty cool, though, if they kind of wrapped up some of the things that... Because it's fine if a series doesn't want to go back to a character that, who knows, the Proctors, who cares? But like some things that you really got attached to, some things that actually played a hand in the seasons, wouldn't it be cool for that stuff to come up? I don't care about the Proctors. For all I care, they died in the fucking dam. I don't care if they come back. I hope they're dead.
It would be really cool if characters that we love and cared about would show back up. Sarah.
Oh man, I really left that one open, didn't I?
They did give props to Isaac and Rachel in the title card, though.
When I watched that for the first time, it was the middle of the night. I fucking stood up and go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this title sequence. I'm yelling out to somebody that's not there. It's like, look what they did. And like, it's me. It's just me.
Poor Evelyn.
It's me. She's asleep. Don't worry about her. She sleeps through everything. Worry about me. My mental health here.
I didn't quite have that reaction, but I did enjoy it. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw John and I went, oh.
Yeah.
It kept getting cooler.
Well, at the very beginning, when they were showing when Morgan was flashing red at the very beginning, you could see Walker John in the water. I was like, oh, don't you goes. Nah. No.
But then, oh yeah, when he was seeing red. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it was powerful.
Just surprised Dakota wasn't in the fucking title card with him too, since he loved her so damn much.
Wait, did Rachel give her impression of this episode?
No, we just
he just
tried to talk about the title card and get me all like riled up.
I'm sorry.
Nobody gave their impressions aside.
Bridget, that's how it always goes. Whoever gives their first impression is the only one
only
to
one
give
who
an
gets
impression. That's how it always goes.
Meaning I never
goes
give my
first
first
is
impression.
The only impression.
Guys, you all know that I love every episode that ever existed. So I never give my first.
My first impression is not, we didn't really need to talk about it. I'm very neutral. I did not feel one way or another. There were moments that I really enjoyed, and then there were other moments that made me roll my eyes and go, seriously? I find myself just like straight down the middle of the path on this one. It was an episode that happened.
A long episode.
Well,
that
there's that.
Yeah.
I actually really liked this episode. I enjoyed it. Now, mind you, mentally, I have detached the Dwight and Sherry scene. It's like not in there. I don't even think about it. It's not part of it. It happened in some other universe. I enjoyed it for the same reasons that I enjoyed King County. But I also really liked the ending. And I don't mean like the bonus ending.
No, forget that.
I mean
for
the
now.
like leaving and giving the show back over to Madison. And I know that
Barf.
that isn't what everybody wanted, but it makes more sense. It started with her and her family. This makes sense that they're going to end it with her to come full circle. This might have been my favorite so far of the season.
Yeah, there's a lot of payoff in this episode too, for all the development in each episode, and all the leading up to that. We even said, I feel like at the end of almost every episode, we're like, oh, this is a wait and see. We'll see what happens in the next one. Even with King County, you're like, okay, well, Grace got bit, so she'll get her radiation. Her radiation will cure her bite, and then she's okay. No,
it did feel a little bit like, do you remember how we felt about season 11 of The Walking Dead? 11A felt really weird and disconnected. They were trying to rush through the storyline real quick to get to like the good stuff. That's what this felt like.
Yeah, Reapers. Yeah, forget it.
That's what this felt like. Like Shrike and Crane are the Reapers of this season. And I'm like, does no one in this universe know how to write like a good last season?
Well, it's more like the beginning of 11B.
Is it because did they know it was going to be the last season when they started writing it?
I was listening to somebody and they were saying that they must not have known this was going to be the last season when they started the Padre shit. And so when they found out it was the last season, they had to kind of cram everything in there and then have the episodes left over to do what they wanted, whatever the ending is going to be.
That makes sense.
I'm not 100% convinced, but the sentiment is there. And also the feeling. It's not only them, it's us too. We acknowledged this at the beginning of 11A. And we were resigned in 11B, and then we were fearful in 11C. We're all walking on eggshells. I'm walking on eggshells with this season. I'm trying not to let it get in the way, but it's even look at me. I'm admitting, oh, bad writing, bad dialogue here. Me. Guys, tell me to be the stalwart person who's very annoying, and please tell me to be that person. Somebody has to be.
The dark side,
the
Dave.
Constant devil's advocate.
It's been tough. It's because it's the second one to end.
What a burden you bear.
It's hard, man.
Quick little thing I wanted to point out about title cards is Morgan's is the first time it's a male. All the first 5 episodes were females on the title cards.
That's interesting.
Mo, June, Madison, Jenny, Grace, and then Morgan.
Wow. There's not a lot of males left, or at least male protagonists, aside from Daniel now. Dwight is indeterminate.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. Jasmine says, my favorite moment from this episode is Morgan revisiting Eastman's grave. You know what? When you talked about Morgan leaving the show, I wanted to get into that. But let me continue what she says. I recently watched Here's Not Here, the Eastman episode. Still remains one of my top 3 favorite episodes of The Walking Dead. Best way for Morgan to exit, in my own opinion. The sequence of events, and this is to your point, Sharon D, Rachel, Bridget, I was a little confused. I'm like, what is Eastman's grave doing here all of a sudden? Where are we?
Yeah, like where are we? Yeah, I was
To be
confused.
fair, I figured it out after the episode, reading one of the Reddit posts. Of course, the content doesn't matter, but the idea that I had to find another source to be like, oh, okay. So when they left on the beach, because they're in Georgia too. So I think that's where Eastman was. That makes sense. They could have just taken a short trip. Could have been a day, maybe on the coast, because that's where Eastman was buried in that episode, apparently. And then they got to the coast. They got to where they needed to be in Georgia, somewhere, wherever it is, visited his grave, and then buried Grace there as an homage to her and to Eastman for what he gave him.
Jasmine just said Eastman's cabin was near Atlanta, and that's right, because he talks about in that episode of how he left Atlanta.
Right, but the grave clearly is not in Atlanta itself.
Well, no, it's not in Atlanta. But it's outside of that cabin in that area.
That whole graveyard area was near his cabin.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, okay, but not far away. Okay.
Yeah.
I will say that the Eastman graveyard scene made me tear up. Not gonna lie.
Really?
I did tear up too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Going back to Eastman, first of all, made me remember that I used to like Morgan at one point. I liked Morgan in The Walking Dead. Here's Not Here. It didn't make my top 5 list, but it is one of my favorite episodes.
Is it 613, 612, something like that?
Basically, thank you for saving me and making me into the person I am. Even though I've changed, you still made me a better person. That kind of thing he was saying, and it just touched me.
All life is precious.
Yeah, the all life is that was it. The all life is precious doesn't mean kill or not kill. It means spend the best quality time you have with the people you have, which has basically been the whole message of the show, right? Spend the time you spend what time you have
through this season.
I mean, throughout the entire show.
We're all basking in the glory of your touching moment, honestly.
Also,
I love the dude that played Eastman.
He's such
a terrific actor. Such range.
He's an amazing actor. I just think it pays homage to what you were kind of waiting for. They said they would never connect these two shows, but then they did, but they didn't give you the connection that you were looking for. And this finally gave you some of that connection that, okay, we got King County and we wrapped this up and Morgan is growing. And it's been many years of him not growing as a character and kind of staying the same. And I expressed his sentiment when I talked about potentially Strand dying in this season, because I hope that he would sacrifice himself for those around him, because historically he always has done the opposite. And so it would be really refreshing, as sad as that would make me, to see him grow as a character. And it almost seems like all of these people on Fear have been treading water for a really long time. They'll have development, but they'll immediately backpedal it. And all of a sudden they're exactly who they were.
Or it won't mean as much as we thought it would be.
Sherry and Dwight have gone through the same story arc like 4 times. We want to be together. We don't, it's like a whole thing. And June finally got that forward movement this season. I felt like she really flourished all of a sudden and became the person that you wanted her to be. You wanted her to step up. You wanted her to have autonomy over her own life and show that. And all of that was finally showcased here. So I feel like finally we're getting the forward movement that we wanted out of these characters.
Everything gets a return? Is that what you're trying to say?
Finally, Morgan is not weighed down by this same... Yeah, I see it.
Jasmine's calling. She's like, yes, Dave. Okay. Anyway.
Jasmine's just going. She's just going. Yeah.
Well, Jasmine, when you get a chance, speaking as somebody who has loved Morgan for a while, but like when it comes to Fear, I feel like she hasn't. Was this satisfying for you, Jasmine?
Well, Jasmine answers, I want to say that I appreciated Morgan bringing up the origin of his stick too.
Yes.
He's like, when you gave this to me. And I was like, oh yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And much like Morgan, the stick has changed 17 times.
17 different sticks. Yes. Which, by the way, TWD Design, I think it is. This Instagram account has been like drawing these iconic things in the Walking Dead universe. And one of them was a carousel image of all the different versions of Morgan's stick over the course of Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, which I posted in our stories at some point, which obviously is gone by now. But yeah, but Jasmine, what I mean is you haven't always liked most of Morgan's decisions. Fair enough, because I think most people haven't. But did it feel kind of good to see your boy make some moves this episode, come to some resolutions, come full circle, have his return, let's say, and finally pass through that membrane where he may not have to worry about going clear anymore and knows what it means that when you lose people, you don't really lose them. And maybe that's like the evolution on No One's Gone Till They're Gone. It's not about the people necessarily, but their memory and what they mean to you. Even if somebody steps off the frame, it doesn't mean that they're gone or steps into the ether. We are the collective memory of the people we leave behind. We are everything that they mean to us. We, We carry that, all of us, in life. And so he came to that conclusion. It's good to see that he finally gets what a lot of people in this universe have gotten, not right away, but sooner. Rick's little flashback, season 9, episode 5, his little dream sequence with Sasha. That's what she was trying to tell him. We carry their memory. We take them with us as we go. We do that for them. But what I like about that is everything I liked about Morgan from the very beginning, because I identify with that. I sit here, I say things, I go on yarns and whatever. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. Sometimes it takes a while for me to come around and figure things out for myself when it comes to my own personal growth. So for Morgan to finally see that, to come to that, it's realistic. Everybody comes to things in their own time. Kind of like Alicia coming into herself as a leader over the course of several seasons until we kind of see it in season 3. You get a taste of that in the bunker, and then you get a little bit more of that later on. You get her leading in season 4, leading the survivors, Strand and Luciana, against John Dory and Morgan, going on the attack. She's leader of the pack. She's the head of the wolf pack. And then she kind of drops back, and then she kind of steps up again. It's cool to see these changes over time because you feel them. You feel like it's genuine. It's authentic in a sense. It's not like a flip-flop. It's like, no, this is what it looks like. People sometimes take a long time to come around to what they were probably going to eventually, but it's realistic. It's not a big swing. It's not a dramatic change that doesn't feel believable. That's what people are. People change incrementally, and when you do that, that change sticks usually. But Jasmine says, I've always liked Morgan in both The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. I'm glad they did him justice in this episode. Even when I haven't liked some of Morgan's Fear the Walking Dead decisions, I've always held a soft spot for him. Okay, it's cool that you clarified that. I appreciate that. We've spent a lot of episodes with, well, a couple of at least episodes with Jasmine breaking down episodes. So it was kind of nice to see her kind of go crazy when it comes to these Morgan references in the chat. Can we talk about Morgan leaving the show briefly? Because you'd think that I'd be really, really sad about that. And maybe it still hasn't registered with me yet, but I'm all right. I think I'm okay with that.
You don't always have to be sad if it's a good send-off.
Yeah.
I
didn't expect it to be.
They didn't turn him into a walker, and you didn't have to see a body either. But there's always a chance he can come back.
Yeah,
it's
Madison.
It was a hopeful send-off.
Right. It's not like John.
It's not like he's just leaving and you don't know anything.
No, and that's the thing. You'd think I'd be like, oh, what? No, I want my guy. I want to see my guy in the next episode. But
maybe we see him with Rick and Michonne later.
Well, you see, that's the other side of what I was going to say, in that there's a weird part of me that is feeling a bit guarded. I don't want to get my hopes up that we will see him again. Right. Mm-hmm. Do you feel, I see you nodding, Bridget. Do you feel that way also? As much as I want to, are they going to do it?
Yes, that would be amazing.
Sure.
But
Heath and
But I'd rather
else.
Be surprised by it too.
Mm-hmm.
You remember when Andy Lincoln was at San Diego Comic-Con? He was rumored to be there, and like the whole time I'm like, he's not there. He's not there. There's no way.
That's
and
exactly
it was like so much better than when he showed up, because it was like, yes, like I'm genuinely surprised by it. It just felt nice to be surprised. AMC is on a roll of not spoiling their own stuff. So congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations, because nobody
you
knew.
Get one. You get one. You get this one.
You didn't spoil Grace's death, and you didn't spoil this. So you're on a hot streak. So just keep that going. Don't spoil anything else, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you see Lenny in the interview? And he was like, after I leave here, I'm going to go over to France and be on the Daryl show. And then I'm going to go into New York and be on the Negan show. And then they're going to bring the World Beyond back, and I'm going to be on that too.
I love that.
But let's be really honest. Are any of you mad at that at all?
No.
Look at my face.
It's hilarious.
It would be funny.
He's hilarious.
Him leaving means I do have to have more Madison. It's fucking 8B, but or whatever.
Or room for other people like Daniel, like June, like Luciana, maybe. We haven't seen her yet.
Funny.
Why?
And hopeful. Aw.
So sweet. We will see Strand.
Pat my head.
So I'm excited about that.
So sweet.
Complete the circle. Oh, by the way, I should also mention Avi and Ash is on this new show called Silo on Apple TV. But what nobody else is saying, who is more predominant in that show, is Wes's brother Derek. I forget the actor's name. He's in that show too, and he's amazing. He doesn't say once, "Why don't you try the rhubarb pie?" He doesn't say it once, but he should. I would die shitting if he said that.
He would die shitting. That should be in his contract. That should be in his dialogue for any new show or movie he's in.
I have to say this line for this one person so he can die shitting. It's dying wish. Jasmine says, an appearance in the Rick and Michonne series would be insanely awesome. I was happy not to have much Madison in this half season. I'm okay with that too, which only preps us for more Madison later on. Good or bad?
Yay.
I think it was an acceptable amount of Madison, she says.
An acceptable amount of Madison.
Let's take that a step further. What did you think of Madison's interactions with Morgan in this episode? Because I found them personally, if I couldn't be there for my kids and I couldn't be there for these kids, and I can be there for you. That's how I registered.
And then she didn't do that either.
She tried, man. You know what didn't register with me immediately? I got to see that. I had like a half a watch today. That thing, I thought it was like a pontoon that he had his axe in when he was stuck in the muck. Like,
it was her air tank.
It was her air tank. I didn't realize that at first. I'm like, that's why she's wheezy.
Oh, like when they cut to her, she's just laying on the ground. Morgan, I can't. Like,
this poor bitch.
I know.
Everyone just like woke up and left her there. That happened a few times during this episode, and that's one of my issues.
Why? It's believable.
I enjoyed it because, one, this is the first time I've ever seen this in any Walking Dead show, I think. They walked toward a massive herd.
I'm going to say, I love that shot, though, as Morgan's walking through and they're showing them killing the walkers in front of him. I totally dug that scene. Like, I was like, all right, that's pretty damn cool.
Hey, Rachel, what would you do for your kids, quote unquote, even? First, I was also with you, Sharon D. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? That's not what people do. And then when I saw I'm with Bridget, though. Second watch, I was like,
it was wild.
They're fucking fighting for their kids. They're fucking charging into the horde for their fucking kids.
I loved that, but the reason I was okay with like the sudden people are on their own and you're really confused is because it was giving you what Morgan deals with when he goes through that kind of disassociation.
Yeah.
And while it was really jarring, that was the first time in this season, possibly in 2 seasons, that we've seen a really clear passage of time. That was a great storytelling device. I know people had a lot to say about it. They're like, the red flashes were so cheesy. Okay, one, it's an homage to old horror, so fuck you, just not nicely. And so I enjoyed that
nice
part.
Way.
It's just not kindly at all. I'm not going to say anything else, but it's definitely a trope for a reason, but they had not utilized it in this show. I thought it was a nice change of pace. And on top of that, it was jarring, which it was meant to be, for you to feel like, okay, he's disassociating. Like, how confusing would this be? He's waking up mid-fight. Like, can you imagine?
You're getting the tail end of the fight.
He's waking up chest high in quicksand. How the fuck did that happen?
What in the world? But I kind of enjoyed it because it was like so over the top ridiculous. It's like, what went on here? But you get to fill that in. So that's the cool part about it.
And that's good writing. Right, though?
It was. That part was.
It's
well,
fine.
Of course, because they didn't have to write anything. We do all the work.
No, but all that requires choreography. And they even said it. That's the one thing I liked in the episode Insider was like, this was very technically difficult. You have to make it, first of all, that you can at least somewhat partially, but you shouldn't be able to completely be able to piece out what happened. Just like Morgan. I think I know what happened here. I hope I didn't kill anybody in the process. This is a mark of a good thing. Every scene, I was worried he killed one of the parents. There was even this one shot just before the quicksand, whatever it is that you find himself in. I thought he actually killed one of the parents. I had not been paying attention, but it was enough for me to be like, oh, what? And I thought it was the woman whom we mentioned earlier who had the good facial expressions, the parent, the not Odessa's mom. I thought it was her.
Odessa's mom.
And I'm like, what just happened? He killed one of the parents. He killed her. But I find out later, I watched it at least one more time. It was like, okay, no, it was just a walker. But like the fact that you felt like it could happen is good. And that was really, that's really, really impressive. Because, Rachel, when he got shot at the end of season 5, you're like, this guy, Morgan doesn't die. This is a dumpster moment. It's like a Glenn Dumpster moment. Forget.
I don't die.
But this would be worse than death. Morgan being responsible for the deaths of people. That is a collective thing that just is thrown onto his conscience, right? That he could do something like that.
That would have been his fault. That is something he can feel responsible for.
That's actually the one thing I don't think he would, ostensibly be responsible. Like he would be responsible for it, but he's dissociating. So like, is that his fault? But regardless, he'd still apologize for it. So it's fine.
Yeah, wouldn't matter anyway. I had absolutely no problem with what we saw from Morgan this episode. The red flashes, the losing time, the going out of it here, waking up a mile or 10 miles away. Who knows? Because we have no idea, no sense of time or distance traveled at all whatsoever. But what I did have a problem with was how Madison woke up. She just was like, oh, Morgan, I hear you. And then like no one was around her. Where's Daniel? I don't know. I woke up and everyone abandoned me, apparently. What?
Anybody want to jump in?
And then, wait, no, I'm not done yet. You shut your face. I'm not done yet. So then she's like, I'm going to jump in this boat and go find you, Morgan. And then Haircut's like, no, you're not. Ha ha ha. And then all of a sudden, Daniel's like, here we are to save you, Madison. Like, where the fuck were you 10 minutes ago? What is happening? It was so all
you got
over
something
the place.
There. You got something there. It's okay. I'm with you on that one. Fine. The first thing I actually believe, because who was this bitch? What did she do? What was her original occupation? I could see the parents abandoning this bitch, right?
But Daniel was with them. I don't think Daniel would just. I don't put it.
I was so confused just now. I was like, she was a teacher, Dave. What does that have to do with anything?
And then you figured it out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, the parents would absolutely abandon her because Madison is who took their kids away, right? Like they hate her.
Problem.
But Daniel would give this heartfelt speech and be like, "No, we must bring her." You know what I mean? Like Daniel would save the day. He would. Yes, he would. You're wrong.
But Daniel's way more practical, though.
Daniel forgot that he knew her, and so then he was just like,
for like a minute. For like a minute.
They gave him his magic drink, and he was just fine again.
He had some yerba mate, and he was fine.
We left Madison back there. We got to go get her.
Oh my god!
The yerba mate's kicked in.
Whatever.
I do want to say there was an actual callback from the first episode of the season, the oxygen tank that Mo uses to escape the houseboat. That was from the first episode of the season when they took Madison there and the oxygen tank was broken or whatever. I did like that they pulled all that together. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing is wasted.
What?
Right.
They didn't just forget about something?
Right?
But they've been doing that, to their credit, Sharondy, right? Yeah. They have been making use of seasons
like,
in this season.
Benioff and Weiss when they just forgot. Daenerys just forgot about the Iron Fleet.
Whoops. Oh, there it is.
Sorry. Minor spoiler, Bridget, but you don't know what we're talking about, so it's okay.
It's fine.
I don't know what you're talking about, so it's fine.
Yeah. I don't even know what you're talking about anymore. I need my yerba mate. Hold on.
Yerba mate.
Oh, the Iron Fleet. I channeled you, Bridget, in like the first scene. When Morgan wakes up for the first time and he was going, Madison, like, I thought you were going to say something about that. No. Like, he sort of sounds like that,
really
right?
Funny. It is really funny, actually.
Like, what's going on? But,
I didn't catch that one.
But I liked it. Whatever. It's me.
Sometimes they just give them a scene that you're just like, why did they make you do this? Like, why?
Because he's a fucking true actor. A true actor is just not afraid to fucking go there. He just fucking goes there. So like you can look at it one way. You can look at it like what is that? What is that, Lenny James? But then you can also go like, I'm genuinely terrified. How did I get here? That's what I got from that. So whatever. I wanted to touch on something that could look to a person who hasn't watched the episodes. Like, okay. Madison's like, chill out, Morgan. What? I had to stop you. Everything's fine. But you know what? To touch on something.
What happened? Yeah, it's like.
But like to touch on something that you previously said. What was Madison's original occupation? Guidance, right? But you still have to have I think at least a PhD. You have to have a teaching degree. So, I mean, it's believable. So she's like, okay.
Teaching, yes. PhD, no.
You have to have like a certification. It's a major minimum, I think.
Yeah.
It's not a PhD.
No,
I thought she had
my friend Melissa is a guidance counselor at a junior high.
Yeah, it's not a PhD.
Well, for high school, you have to have a degree. Well, at least in New York State, you have to have a degree. Still, probably LA. Probably LA too. So all of this is believable. All of this is kind of like, okay, it makes sense that Madison's really super calm in this moment and super chill about this. And I think she sees Morgan as an asset throughout this entire thing. Like, we need this guy, at least for Mo, and Mo can get the children to do things.
Well, say what you will about Morgan. He is a machine when it comes to like those blackouts. Woo! It's comparable to Alicia at the height of like Alicia's OP status when everybody was like,
that season premiere of season 5.
It's the same thing
with the propeller, and Morgan's just like, all right, you got this. It's, I mean, I got my steak, whatever, but you got. I'll be back here while you swing that thing around. It's cutting your hands and shit.
Her Final Fantasy VII cloud sword.
Yeah, her Buster sword. But I think what I liked most about the blackouts, other than the cool little flashes of whatever, was Morgan's face. Just like we don't often get to see him smile. We did get to see him smile in this episode, so let me just mention that, which is great. But just like that, you don't often get to see him in a rage. That kind of like intense, I've got to fucking kill things. That actually triggered me a little. That just felt really authentically frightening. Kudos. I have the goosebumps just thinking about it right now. I should also mention that Jasmine says, would have been funny if you killed Madison in that moment.
I mean, you're left thinking it several times.
I know. I wanted to mention that though, yeah. Can't we acknowledge that Mo left Morgan to drown in that house?
That's what I want to talk about, that scene. I want to talk about the houseboat scene.
Let's also acknowledge that Morgan was using Grace's blood to write that shit all over the walls of the train car.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing, but yeah.
Yeah. So the houseboat scene has this beautiful shot that I think you could really kind of overlook because it was fast. After he gets Mo out, he gives her the tank. I loved that idea because it was a really great thought. It pans over to the corner of the houseboat and it just holds on the corner where the King County and Dwayne and Jenny was painted.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes underwater.
And the water slowly rises up and it just holds on that. And that was a really great choice cinematography wise because it's really subtle. But it just goes to show that all of that's being washed away.
Like a baptism almost.
Yeah, because what was it called? Eutrophication? I don't remember. There's a term, but it has to do with the belief in the 1800s and previous that water could dissolve anything. And so that's why there's like a bunch of garbage in the ocean and in lakes and rivers and stuff, specifically in Europe, but also in America. It's because people genuinely believed that water dissolved everything, that it was like a purifying force. And so they would just throw garbage in the water because the water would just take care of it. Now, we know now that that's not at all what happens, but the symbolism still stands. You get this powerful imagery of the water washing all of this away. It was beautiful. I was thankful for that. The cinematography, like I said, has been just over the top beautiful. And you've mentioned it in almost every episode, Jeremy. You've paid close attention to the shots that we've been getting. And this is one that I finally caught. Because a lot of the time when you bring up the shots, I didn't catch it in the moment. But this was one that I caught and I was like, that was such a choice.
I actually remember that shot. Kind of thinking the same thing. It looked like they're washing away Morgan's past.
Or like the sword, the King Arthur sword going back into the lake. So something about
it comes out
or like returning something to the earth or something. Or like Teddy, return to the earth.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mother!
We can go Norman Bates on this too. It's fine.
No, that's Teddy.
Mother, blood, mother. But yeah, well, why don't we acknowledge Jazz's question? Why did Mo zip tie Morgan to the houseboat?
Because he tried to kill her. He tried to
kill her, dude.
That's why she stabbed him.
But now that this thing is really starting to sink, why does she leave him there?
She says, what do you, like, I'm not going to leave you to die. And he says, I'll get out of it. Now, why wouldn't she believe him? He's just killed like almost a herd of walkers by himself. Like, there's no reason for her to doubt that he would. I didn't take issue with that at all.
Okay.
She's a kid. She's listening to her dad. She's making the smart choice. I'm glad she's not being obstinate in this moment.
The one time she didn't do the opposite of what he said.
The one time she listens.
Right.
Thank God. I don't know if you guys caught this. It was really, really, really weird. I'm not sure if it was meant to be variant related or what, but the boat's sinking. Mo is out. Morgan grabs the axe. He moves it underwater so you can assume he's breaking the zip tie. And then he turns towards the window where those three walkers are. So it's, what is his name? Krennic or whatever. And then the two. And the screen goes red again. And all of a sudden, you see it's almost like one of the walkers leaps forward. You only see it for a split second because it's the red flash. The walkers were there and then all of a sudden one is like barreling forward, dives into the house. It was really weird. I was like, what? It happened so fast that I couldn't figure out if it was Krennic or not, because I was like, wouldn't that be cool if he was like a variant? I wasn't sure if it was intentional or if it was just something that got caught on film, but it was really interesting.
Let us know in the comments or your rating. How about that? RateThisPodcast.com/GoWalkingDead or in the YouTube comments. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, are you done with this episode?
No, I could actually see the walker like spilling in because I mean, after a certain point, they're all trying to get in. And if the water starts flowing in, they historically have not floated though. So it was interesting. More like it reaches a certain height and then all of a sudden, like they're reaching in, the water kind of just carries them into the house, let's say. So maybe not under their own weight. Yeah, so it could be that.
It could have been giving the illusion that the house was collapsing, which is what was happening.
Right.
Well, I mean, we saw the water rising on that far wall, so we can assume that the whole house is continually
Right. And they're
submerging.
on the higher up piece on the outside, so they're probably like it's spilling, I guess, or something or whatnot.
I guess,
Right.
yeah. It was just really unusual. And it was only one of them. It was just something that I saw and I was like, I don't know what that is. What's up with that?
Yeah,
I rewinded
I didn't
it to
catch
try to
that.
see what it was again. I couldn't figure it out. The only other thing that I wrote a note about, I want to focus on the line that Madison says to Morgan. We never really lose people, Morgan. None of us do. I don't know. I'm feeling sentimental because it's Father's Day. I don't have a dad anymore. I don't have my grandpa anymore. I just love that sentiment. You guys know I'm Christian, so like, yeah, I believe in heaven.
Wait, you're
and
Christian?
So I believe that. Shut up. I believe in heaven, and I believe that for sure my grandfather's there. Like, I have no doubt in my mind when he died. I wasn't, I mean, I'm sad for me, but I wasn't sad because I knew he was there. But my dad was not a believer. And so I've really struggled with that over the last couple of years. What does that mean for me and him? And it's like emotional, and I don't know how to feel about it in your life, kind of like feeling like this is something that I have to deal with, but I don't know how. And what if that's it for him? That's just it. He's just gone. So the thought that you don't lose people because you carry him with you, that's how I can make peace with that. I have his memory to carry with me, and he shaped the person that I am for all the bad that was involved in that. He helped shape me to be this person. And so I was really thankful for it. It wasn't too cheesy. It wasn't too overwhelmingly.
It was just enough.
And I was really thankful for it. And then thankful that it came at a time that I was struggling with this, to hear it on a weekend where I felt like I really needed to hear it.
You're thinking to yourself, fuck this episode for airing on Father's Day. But then also they kind of go through the motions.
What are you guys doing?
But then they go through the motions of saying, well, just because they're gone, for those who don't have their fathers, just because they're gone doesn't mean you don't carry them with you.
Yeah.
In your heart and in your mind. Let's say if they're not gone, if they're just away from you, they're still with you. As long as you carry them with you and believe, they're with you. If you are somebody who believes, who's a believer, you've got to believe that higher power is reaching into you and channeling that spirit of forgiveness, that spirit of looking at the positives of that person and forgiving, and maybe translating it into some sort of...
Yeah, that's what I pray, right? Like those final moments.
Shambhala or like nirvana or whatever it is, or heaven, or that counts toward the good.
Yeah.
That's gotta.
Yeah, that's all that I can do. That's the hope that I cling on to. But I didn't expect my favorite line so far of this season to come from Madison. I just did it.
That's two.
I just did it.
That's two.
I just did it.
All right, we're waiting for you, Rachel. We're waiting for you.
And then she ruined it when Krennic bit Shrike. She's like, he was always with her. Like, that explains the entire reason, her entire reasoning behind it. What a way to just destroy the beautiful line you just said a little while ago.
I didn't mind that because credit to Maya Shet for the look on her face says so much. The fear, the joy, the grief, it's all there really quickly in the matter of milliseconds. So I get it, because as stupid as that was, as dumb as it seemed to say it in that moment, he was, and she tried to turn away from it.
But there was almost something wrong about her trying to turn away from it.
Yeah. She tried to turn away from it, and it didn't go the way she wanted it to.
He didn't leave you. He didn't have a choice. That's what I got from that. He didn't have a choice. Yeah. Look at him. Look at him. It's not his fault.
Well, and he did that for you. He gave his life for you and your brother to be able to live.
And you tried to do something, okay.
You took a sacrifice and you twisted it.
Because I'm gonna say that you were angry with him for leaving you.
She does apologize.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
I feel
anger
like I'm in like real weird waters by saying that. I feel like that was the whole crux of what they were trying to do. Now, also the other half of that crux is something we often say about kids, is that she's also angry at him for not exposing them to this danger or not helping them to understand what the danger is. We kind of mentioned that when Ben should have known better and not taken binoculars to his father. But then I resolved myself to say, well, their father didn't expose them to the danger. Of course he doesn't know. He doesn't know anything. He's heard secondhand. He's been safe on an island.
This is why we want to train kids like Gracie and shit, so they know how to fucking defend
That's what
themselves.
I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so don't you think she would be mad at her father in that way too? Why didn't you train us? Like I'm training these children that their parents probably never trained those babies. Well, we're going to do it from the start. We're going to make sure that they don't see this is the negative side. We're going to make sure that from the egg, they know what they're dealing with so that they don't have to deal with the pain that we're dealing with. Right. And so it all comes full circle, but still she realizes what the impetus of that was. It's like the negative side of that. And that's, well, it was born out of anger. It was born out of the feeling of abandonment and like anger that you didn't properly train us. You tried to protect us from this world, but you shouldn't. That's why I said they were an interesting mirror to the Clark family in a way, that these kids were inadvertently prepared for the apocalypse, whereas the Krennics were not. The kids, at least, were not. And they reacted and they created a community of people who were never going to be not prepared for this world. But it was born out of anger and abandonment and trauma. So, of course, it translated weirdly. And that's what makes Crane trying to make the kids kill their parents. This is the masterstroke. If you can do this, you can do anything now. Kill your parents. Be like us. And again, I too wish the show could walk us to that plank at least so that we can dive in. Let's say the diving board so that we can dive in. But here we are. We're doing it. And I appreciate it. I see what they were trying to do. And it is pretty emotional. So I think the time has come to talk about the title sequence for real, though. Because, like I said, I stood up and I yelled at somebody who wasn't there. Did you see that shit? Nobody's there. Nobody's there. I couldn't believe it. And then thinking about it now, just makes me so emotional. And it hits all these notes that all of us have talked about. Yeah, in one 15-second title sequence, they managed to get
Jenny,
Dwayne,
Eastman,
Nick, John, Isaac, Rachel, John Sr., Alicia, Grace.
Where's Charlie? Morgan saved Charlie, remember? In 406, when the vultures came and they were having the shootout, and Alicia was going to shoot Charlie in the face, and so was Luciana. Morgan is the one that saved her. So why isn't Charlie in there?
It was interesting that Charlie wasn't in there, but Alicia was. And that was a really big topic of conversation online is, does that mean Alicia's really dead?
That's what I was going to ask next. But yeah, that was really what I was asking. But for all he knows, she's dead. That's really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least that.
For all he knows, Charlie dead.
But does he have hope that she's not?
Well, does that mean Charlie's alive too? No.
You mean Sarah and Wendell are alive?
She can't be alive. Hey,
what do you mean everybody's alive? People who shouldn't be alive are alive. So
I mean,
right?
Yeah, look at Madison.
We'll get to that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Get your bring back XXX hashtags ready.
But let's acknowledge the fact that I think out of all the fucking title sequence, this is the most fucking wild one. I'm not saying it in a bad way. It was so fucking good. It tells the story. These are all the people that he would think, I lose these people and I lose myself. That sort of thing.
Oh, you know who else wasn't in there? Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maxon.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd have to boil it down to the people who's really forged relationships with, I think, and had.
But
key
Henry
moments
was the reason he lost it.
Right. I think he had a pretty tight relationship with Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Ish. I
He
think
trained
ish.
him.
Yeah, but I still think ish.
Same thing with Lydia. He spent time with Lydia too, training her, but he did train Henry. That they were very close. That's why he goes all crazy clear mode.
He doesn't know Henry's dead because that happened after he left
before.
Yeah.
Oh.
By the way, and the
Good
reason
call.
that isn't special is also because in the clinch, he gave up on looking for Henry because he didn't want to know if he was alive or dead. It was in that moment where the saviors that were penned up in Hilltop escaped. He went with Rick to get them again. And instead of looking for Henry with Carol, where Carol gets her kind of return, she finds Henry in literally the same growth as Sophia. Remember when Sophia was hiding out? It was a callback to the first season, second season, whatever. Anyway,
Second season.
She finds him, but Morgan couldn't do it. He couldn't bring himself to do it, which is why it makes sense that he's not. And like you said, he doesn't know that Henry's dead. So how could he?
I mean, I would say he was closer to Henry than he was to Isaac or Rachel. He didn't know either of them very long. He was probably closer to Charlie than he was to Isaac or Rachel.
I wonder if that's just a lack of telling that story because they were the only people that lived in that area with him for a time.
Well, he knew
And
Isaac
we
for
didn't
like 2
see
days
much about it
because Isaac
well,
died.
That's true.
Yeah.
But Rachel, you would have been potentially a lot closer with.
Isaac's the reason he has Mo in his life.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
And he has a life.
That's also true.
By the way, I watched that season premiere of season 6, and this motherfucker, this Isaac, did not give up on him. Even though he wanted him to give up on him, he didn't give up on him. It's like an Eastman all over again.
I am so glad. I mean, I'm not complaining about Isaac and Rachel being in title card.
I know.
Title card
I know.
because I am totally stoked that they put them in there. I appreciate that they have acknowledged throughout the season that Isaac and Rachel are Mo's parents because we love Bridget. I mean, we love Bridget, so
I like
it's
Michael
nice to see her
Abbott, too.
acknowledged. Yeah, I love Michael too. He's really interactive and he's really sweet.
Yeah, he's just a sweetheart. And he's a tremendous actor.
Yeah.
Even in that fucking episode, that motherfucker is a smooth operator, that guy. Fucking Isaac.
I liked Isaac. I wish he'd have lasted.
I was saving these pickle chips for my wife, but you're having a bad day. Here, I'll put them right here, right here in case you need. I couldn't stop watching this interaction. it's a mini Eastman. This dude needs my help. He needs a little bit of a win. No, just like Madison in this episode, I'm not leaving you alone, man. You need somebody. You need me. Fuck this guy. Whatever this guy is, I forget his name now. I know Josiah now. I don't know the Emil. That's his name. You could look at it both ways. Morgan sees red and he's finally reached clear mode because I lose people, I lose myself. But now, after watching the episode, these are all the people that now he can look upon favorably and with joy. That these are the people that made it so that I could be that I could get this. It's the answer to Shrike's question. Other people die, but I don't. It's not about that. It's about the people that you carry with you because you're alive. You carry with you because they took a chance on you. They did that out of love.
Well, you tarnish their memory when you don't honor the time that you had together and instead focus on the time that you didn't.
And that you lost, right? And that I could have saved them. Don't get wrapped up in that.
You're not honoring their memory that way.
They did that because they have autonomy. They have love in their hearts. They have generosity. They did that not for them, for you, and maybe a little bit for them because of their character, but honor their memory, carry on, bring them with you. That is what you get out of that in the second watch. It's beautiful. And watching them, they're not on the ground, they're right behind him. They're pushing him forward and they're in color. And it's just beautiful. It's so beautiful. Stand up and cheer. Yell at somebody in the room who's not there. That's how I reacted to that. Sharon, what are these maps that you've given me that we should probably put on the screen?
Okay, so the two maps that I sent you are the coordinates. So at the beginning of the tag scene, Madison is talking on the radio, right? We see the hands and whatnot. So Madison reads out a set of coordinates. Padre has fallen. They are no longer a threat to you or your children. If you want to join Padre, here's the coordinates. Send us SOS and we'll come get you. So it's in the Georgia swamps. That's the picture that popped up when I put the coordinates in, was the picture of the house and stuff out there.
Okay, let me share that first. Let me share the house first.
The coordinates are 31 degrees, 51 minutes north, 81 degrees, 10 minutes west. And that is what comes up.
So not in the ocean, like Atlantis.
Is that a dog? Is that a dog?
It's this 5 hour and 1 minute from where? From your place, or what is it?
the poor people who own this property, like their property's just like on blast now.
Let's zoom on. What is this? No trespassing. What does it say on this house?
It says no spying. Get out of here, Google Maps.
Don't dead open inside. That's what it says. The other one is the actual location on the map.
And this is the actual coordinates here. This is Georgetown, Montgomery, Richmond Hill, Fort McAllister. Fort McAllister was mentioned in this series, right? Wasn't it? Yeah, in the first episode. No, the flashback
Fort McAllister does sound familiar, yeah.
Yeah, Krennic, I think, mentions Fort McAllister at some point. Oh. And Keller.
Osaba Island. Asaba.
That is on the Georgia coast. So as it's panning across and you see the different items or whatever, one of them is a map. And there are places circled on the map. This is in the
tag, right? At the end, right before the credits?
Right.
Okay.
The hand grabs a map.
If you freeze frame it, you can see a line. I could not zoom in enough to see the names on the map myself. What I did was put another map of the Texas border underneath it and kind of line them up. I couldn't get a good enough screenshot. It starts in San Rosario, which I don't know anything about seasons 1 through 3, so I don't know if that was a place, but it's in Baja California on the Pacific coast. And then it goes up into Yuma, Arizona, and then it goes over to Nogales, Arizona, and then it goes to Tucson. Then it goes to Odessa, Texas, which I thought was pretty cool because Odessa. And then from Odessa, it goes to Eden, Texas, which Eden was the name of the dam settlement.
That's right. Thanks, Jenna.
Thank you, Jenna,
for that one.
And then from Eden, it goes to Austin. And then from Austin, it goes to Houston or Louisiana. It's hard to tell on the map. But there's lines. All of these areas are circled, and there's lines going to each one like somebody's traveled that way going there. It ends in Houston or Louisiana. But
somebody's looking for something.
I thought it was really cool that one of the names was Eden.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to go over what's on that table, too, obviously.
Sunglasses.
Flashlight, canteen.
Alicia's arm.
Yeah.
That was the over-the-top portion of it.
First of all, do you think this is Troy? Second of all, does this confirm that Alicia's dead, or she left it behind? I think we're supposed to think
this is Troy.
Yeah, and I think maybe he popped her in the head with a hammer, and that's how he got her arm.
Or she could have left it behind.
Or she was already a walker.
It was redundant. So do you think it might be more altruistic? Do you think that Troy is trying to tell Madison that Alicia's dead, that maybe she doesn't know? Maybe he's trying to help her out.
Well, if this is Troy, I don't think he's looking for her so he can be like, hey, let's team up and be friends. Like, I don't see that happening. I missed you. I don't see that happening. So obviously, I feel like he's going to use Alicia's arm as like a scare tactic. He's either going to lie and be like, I killed your daughter. She's
That is
dead.
not
I
how
put
he
her
talks.
down.
That's exactly how he talks.
I killed
She
your
sounds exactly
daughter.
like him right now.
I like kill your daughter.
I
That's how
killed
he
your
talks.
daughter and like put her down and stuff. So she's totally not coming back.
She's like totally dead.
Yeah.
Guys?
For sure.
It's
Dead.
uncanny.
The British Daniel Sharman definitely sounds like that. Yeah, I think this is the boot thing.
Is that the Gulf though, right there?
Yeah, this is the Gulf right here.
It wouldn't be Houston then. It's too close to the Gulf.
Houston's
Then it might be Louisiana.
Houston's like in 2 or 3 hours from
Well,
the Gulf.
it's not that far because it's right off Galveston. It's Houston, then Galveston, and Galveston is on the Gulf.
Galveston's on the
Right.
bay, but Houston is nowhere near the water. It's like
Right.
it's a trip. So my
Right.
mom lived there.
Right.
It took a while.
So
to
that
get
might
down
be
there.
Louisiana then. Like I said, it was hard for me to tell.
Yeah, it is hard to tell. It does kind of look like maybe it's more Louisiana, just because of the foot thing off to the right.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
that's what I was basing it
that's-
off of. as
That's
well.
New Orleans.
There's no
Right.
state
Yeah.
lines or anything either.
But it almost doesn't even matter. There are, but you can barely make them out because you can see New Mexico right here, and there's a line here.
What are the
And then-
big letters? E-D.
Oh, this is the United States.
E-
That's what those big letters are.
Oh, okay. I just saw E-D.
But anyway,
Oh,
it
I see
doesn't
the
matter.
U. Okay,
It doesn't
UN.
matter
Okay.
the
I
exact
see.
location.
No.
This is their history. This is them going from Mexico, Baja, Mexico,
Yeah.
Strand. This is their journey across the seasons and all the way down to Louisiana, where, of course, Troy
But
leaves
Troy
his
didn't even know them then. So who would have known them from the beginning?
And we never saw Madison and Eden.
No, but he might not have been fully, because remember our big critique in season 6, which was get off the radio. People are listening to the radio. They don't have to
That's
talk
true.
back.
But
don't have
he
to talk
wasn't
back.
with them from the beginning. So who is it really? I don't know. I'm just saying. I'd like
Bring
it to
back
be
Nick.
somebody else. Hashtag it's Tobias.
Tobias.
Yes.
I'm all for Tobias coming back. All for it. He's going to show up and be like, boom, Madison. Told you so, bitch.
And then he just leaves. Like,
Yeah,
he's bye.
I want him to be traveling this whole time with a microphone and he just walks up to her and he's like, boom, and then walks away. Like, that's the whole point of the trip. Just mic
Just
drop right in
leaves.
front of Madison.
I love that.
They should drop his
Personally.
knife in front of her. Wouldn't that be even better?
No, because then she has a
With
weapon.
change. With his change.
This is like his Office Space stapler, right? It's
My
like,
stapler.
here, I brought my stapler. I brought my knife. Well, and she's like, why don't you stay? No.
No.
Then he just goes. It's like, no.
I love it.
I've seen what
I
you
love
guys.
it.
I've seen what you guys do. Nah.
And Tobias would definitely know Alicia because obviously they were in school together.
Right.
Even though we never actually saw them interact, but we know they know each other.
So on the table, there's a hammer, which is obviously the hammer that Madison uses to Troy. There's also sunglasses, which are Victor's sunglasses, correct?
Could be.
Very similar. Yeah, he's the only person I remember wearing like aviator shades.
Yeah, and he wore them a lot in the first and second season.
Mhm.
Although if he was bashed in the orbital socket, maybe he has something similar to Norman Reedus, who was injured on set and has these migraines if he doesn't wear sunglasses too.
Okay, Dave. He's Corey Hart, so he wears his sunglasses at night so he can see shadows in his eyes.
Bridget, you picked up what I laid down, so there you go.
So he can.
I'll take the credit for that
Anyway,
one. Anyway, I'm done. That's fine.
anyway,
Fuck you for Tobias. Anyway, sorry.
so
Tobias.
so
But I
Cookie,
restrained
my
myself,
boy-
didn't I?
My boy
a
Cookie
little credit.
TWD over on TikTok that I've been talking about.
It's Clash PR, by the way,
Yes, thank you.
because I had to do it for the blog. I put the thing that you mentioned.
Yeah, he posted a video, I think yesterday, where he said it finally clicked that the bag on the table is the bag from the scene where Troy dies.
Mm.
When it pans out, Troy is laying on the ground and Madison's walking away. There's a bag on the floor.
Okay.
Same bag.
In the bag he picks
So
up
that was
before.
kind of cool.
So I guess the
Yeah.
dam was just
Yeah.
a dream.
Oh my
I
God,
don't-
they're Dallasing us.
I don't think so, but whatever it is, he's
Who
not normal
shot
right
JR?
now. He's definitely not normal right now.
Who hammered Troy?
Oh my God. I even watched the scene where he gets carried away by the water. It's so
I
jarring.
mean,
It's like, it's
no
it. That's
one's
it.
gone till they're gone.
Well, maybe this is one of
So-
those things, man. Like where he wasn't gone.
That's
don't-
why I'd like it to be somebody else, ideally.
I should say that it's not. Or you can also say that it could be the idea of Troy. I'll say that much.
I like other theories. Maybe it's Taka.
Because it's definitely not Daniel Sharman, by the way.
It's Crazy Dog. Wait, did Travis kill all those kids that killed Chris? Because maybe it's one of them. Maybe it's Chris.
Maybe it's
You
Michonne.
didn't see him die.
I keep mentioning that Travis buries Chris.
No, Dave, that I didn't see his body, so it didn't happen.
Maybe it's Travis. Travis
maybe it's
survived.
Travis.
Yeah, maybe it's Travis.
Yeah.
Somehow he's alive.
Maybe it's Madison. Oh wait, sorry, she's already there.
Thanks. Look at
Thanks,
this.
Jasmine.
Look at Jazzy.
Thanks. Maybe it's
Jazzy,
Michonne. Maybe it's Daryl.
Michonne.
Maybe it's you.
You know what?
It could be old Judith.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Guys, we did this with Madison for several seasons. I don't want to. We're not. It's Troy. Can we move on now? It's not.
It's Tobias.
Oh my
Let's just-
gosh. I know who it is. It's Heath. Even though clearly was not a black man.
Get away from me.
If we've just opened
I'm
the
seeing
doors to
red,
bringing
Bridget.
back dead people, then let's bring back Charlie. We didn't see a body anywhere.
Oh, it's Charlie. Right. It's
Maybe
Charlie.
it's Charlie.
Bring back John.
Shut up, Jasmine. It's not
John,
Ethan.
that wasn't
Shut up.
really John. It was his twin. He had an evil twin
Right.
who
Just like
deserved
Giselle.
Yes.
to
And
be
Emil.
killed. So the real John is out there looking for June as we speak.
It's Sarah. She would look so fly in those glasses.
Right. Okay. It's
She
Sarah.
would.
It's Sarah. Yeah.
Troy
Yeah.
did have long hair peering down from where he was writing. So it was like, yeah, it's Sarah.
You know, Sarah liked
It's
to
Sarah.
get hammered, so that's where the hammer comes
Yep.
in. So
Yep.
it's Sarah.
Yep. And she was a trucker, so she's covered long stretches of.
Yeah, maybe it was
Road.
Tabitha.
That was just the delivery. Yeah.
It's Tabitha. Oh.
Maybe it's Martha.
Oh my God. It's
Hashtag.
Martha.
She says hashtag bring back John Dory several times.
Yeah.
Jasmine
Oh my
says.
gosh.
Flooding.
John
Flooding
had
the
a
chat.
twin just like Emil. So John's twin is the one that got killed on the
Yeah, it'd be
bridge.
Dom Dory.
not
right.
not John.
His name is Don. Yeah.
Don.
Dom.
Dory.
No, DOM, like
Dom
Dominic.
Dory.
No.
Yes.
That
yeah.
doesn't rhyme.
Who
Don
cares?
Dory.
It's
John
Johnny
and
and
John.
Donnie.
It's Johnny
Yeah.
and Dommy.
Ron Dory.
Dommy?
It's John
Nobody
and Dom.
calls anyone Dommy.
It's Dom
No.
Dory.
It's Ron
It's
Dory.
It's double D's. They call him double D's.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nobody
Lord.
calls anybody that except for
No.
Is it dark out already?
I know. We're really dumb and it's the middle of the day, so
you're the one with a drink.
There's that.
You have an excuse. We have no excuse.
And you're the one coming up with Dommy.
oh my gosh, Jasmine.
Yeah,
Maybe it's Aaron and it's actually his arm.
Yikes. I can't get over the fact that I'm not feeling upset about Morgan leaving the show. I can't get over it.
Well,
I can't get over
that you're
it.
not upset.
That I'm not upset. Jasmine's saying what I'm upset. I haven't processed it yet, to be frank. And I can't believe I'm at peace with it. And just to give chum to the sharks in
That was
the
a
waters.
good ending, good way to go off. So
Well, for many seasons, people wanted Morgan off the show. And so it's interesting to see that, in a sense, everybody kind of got what they wanted. A, the people like Morgan didn't want him to die. B, the people who don't like Morgan have him off the show for the remaining 6 episodes, which is great for them. So, you got to give them a little chum. You got to feed the birds a little bit, or else they'll revolt. But I'm at peace with a happy ending. I'm okay with that. This is a far cry from the prediction I made in season 4, like the swan song, which is like only Al survives and she gets to tell their stories because they live on in her. To kind of bring it back to this episode, the people that you leave behind, you take them with you. You bring their memory with you. That was the point of the swan song. Al finally stepping into the frame and being a part of this world instead of hiding behind a camera pretending that she's not for the longest time.
Jasmine, I wish Al was still alive. Wait, maybe it's Al.
it's funny that Jasmine says that because as I was watching the episode, before it panned all the way down the table, the first thing that popped in my head was Al. I don't know why. There was absolutely no clues. There was nothing to lead me in that direction. But for some reason, my brain went, Al?
Everyone online that has seen it has been like, it's a woman.
Right.
And
Jaden
it's
had
a
said the
woman.
same thing in the
They're
chat
like,
with me earlier.
They're like, no, it's a
that's
woman.
gonna
And
be
then people are like, no,
that's
it's
so sad
Troy.
Actually, I thought it was a woman at first too, until I went back and rewatched
Yeah.
it again, and it's definitely more masculine than I thought it was.
What's really funny about that, really, really funny, is the casting call made sure that the double that they needed for Daniel in the interim before they hopefully got Daniel, fingers crossed, Daniel Sharman, supposedly, whatever, was they were looking for lookalikes. And they particularly looking for somebody with the same hand type as Daniel Sharman. Have you seen this actor? They like black out the eyes to get the Like, we need somebody to look like that. No, they like blurred out the eyes to kind of like, don't focus on the actor himself. Of course, we know that's Daniel Sharman. Remember when Michonne was first brought on The Walking Dead? It's similar. That's not Daniel Sharman. That's a lookalike.
It was, yeah, that wasn't.
Yeah. So it's a similar
Denaya.
reveal. So Jasmine says maybe it's Al after having ate more food. maybe it's the CRM. Could be Troy and the CRM and Al.
I know.
She doesn't say Al. I say Al. Oh, okay. Now she's saying and Al.
I know.
And Al. Rachel, you were about to say that you had a minor issue with something.
I just wanted somebody to make sense of this for me. Just give me a reason to not be irritated with this. But Morgan wakes up out of his red zone and he's just in the swamp. And Mo has just stabbed him. She's like, you were going to kill me, so I had to stop you. Like, okay, cool. Yeah, of course, right? You're about to be attacked. I get that. Why is she by herself? Where the fuck is everyone else that she was just with?
Remember, just before that, she was telling them to spread out because they were getting cornered. So they all kind of spread to a distance, essentially.
So far, and none of them, not a single one of them, saw Morgan stumbling into the swamp. None of them. He didn't pass a single one of them on his way there.
Remember, you can't see the house. It's 10 feet in front of you. Anyway.
Yeah, no, you can't.
They were all on the other side of the house, hidden behind the brush.
Right.
Yeah.
The brush.
Okay. All
right.
Just like all the walkers that didn't come as Shrike is screaming and they're all yelling and
all the
stuff.
walkers were just like watching this unfold too.
Like, hey, what's up?
Well, they were getting their steps in. They were like trying to let's give her some space. We need to get our walker steps in.
They're all wearing their Fitbits.
Yeah, they're like looking at. Oh yeah, I reached my goal. Cool. I'll just hang out here now. I gotta get Shrike's. Gotta get her steps in. Oh, this guy, he's violating the steps rule. Oh, it's Krennic. Fine, no problem.
We'll allow it.
Even Morgan, when Mo got him into the houseboat, he's like, how the hell did you get me in here? Just like everybody else was asking.
The
thing is surrounded by walkers. But
what did she say? That she said something. She responded to that. I forget what she said.
She said, I had to get you or you were going to die. But all I could think of was he's in the water. So he's like
floating.
10 times easier to pick
yeah,
up.
but he's in his clear mode trying to kill everything. How did she drag him into the houseboat long enough to?
And there's walkers everywhere.
Yeah, and attach him to the wall with a zip tie. Like he just stood there and let her do it. He was in his clear mode. How the hell did she get him in the houseboat?
That is something I wanted to talk about because what I liked about being in clear mode for him was, you got to see the undeniably killing fierceness of Morgan in clear mode. But you also got to see flashes of him being a human being. Like, we're not walkers. We have an indefinite amount of energy. You did see him stumble. You did see him fall. You did see him run out of gas frequently. Remember what he was doing in the last episode? He was running from the carnival area. Don't you stop me! And he didn't make it on time. He was running and he didn't make it on time. But he made it just in time to stop Walker Grace from killing Mo. All of this to say, when was the last time this motherfucker slept?
I guess we would know if they'd had any sense of when time was fucking passing. So,
from his perspective,
any of them slept ever.
Never.
To your point, sure, yeah. More to the point, this guy's exhausting a tremendous amount of energy, and you got to see him running out of that juice, that gas, that clear juice. I don't know.
Maybe Daniel gave him some of his yerba mate.
Yeah, mate. Oh, I know who you are. Why'd you stab me? You didn't have your yerba mate, Dad. You didn't have your yerba mate. Yerba mate, like Mo.
It's a cure.
Is an advertisement. Why didn't they just think of advertising throughout Fear the Walking? They make some more money and maybe a better show. Anyway.
I don't necessarily want to have a conversation about it. I just want to point out that it is sad that once again June has lost any chance of a family that she thought she was going to have. Yeah. She lost Charlie, parents, she lost John, and now she lost the chance of Dwight and Sherry and Finch. So, like I said, I don't really want to get into a conversation. I just want to say it's very sad.
Maybe Sherry will go back to where June is and they'll team up and be Golden Girls together.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Go kidnap some kids.
I would like Dwight to be a Golden Girl.
Kids of their
own. Really? Something cute about that. Anyway.
Yeah, Dwight can be a Golden Girl too.
They're in an interesting spot where they have this tabula rasa where they can go anywhere, at least. What does it mean for her character to move on from this point? Well, and she does have a bunch of children she can now take care of without threat of Padre. Ideally, but the show has 6 episodes to fuck shit up.
And we never did see what happened to Crane.
No, truly.
So.
Yeah.
No one's gone until they're gone.
True.
It's Crane in that tag scene. It makes no sense.
What's with the map and the hammer? Oh, what a fake out.
And how did he get Alicia's arm?
He's really angry. He was like, I'm going to find your daughter's arm. I heard all about it. I heard all about it on the radio. You idiots talking on the radio all the time.
You said that so angrily.
Get away from me! Where am I? Whoa, where did I go? Guys, what happened?
I'm gonna go find
Oh
your
my
daughter's
gosh.
arm.
All I saw was red and I came back. What happened?
Oh my god.
If you like what you've heard, head over to ratethispodcast.com/Squawking Dead. 5 stars and eggplants. All we need to know that you love us. But tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. Tell us what we missed, please. Please tell us what we missed. But remember to tell us after every episode. That's ratethispodcast.com/Squawking Dead. And if you really, 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 well, or if you kinda like what we're doing out here, the good out here, maybe, why don't you consider following us for free on either Ko-fi or Patreon? I highly recommend it because you'll know when we record so that you, like Jasmine and Mitchell, can pop in to the studio for free whenever you want. Lend us your thoughts as we record, at the very least. And if you really, really like what we, because you have to really like to do this, what we're doing, you can either tip us on ko-fi.com/Squawking Dead, hashtag Big About John Dory's, all Jasmine's saying right now, or you can join a membership tier for as little as $1 a month, and you can get these benefits in perpetuity, the unedited episode recordings if you miss these recording sessions, Discord access, which people have been making use of, as well as a whole host of really cool perks in our Ko-fi shop or in our posts, our archives. In any case, I'm excited to see what's coming from Fear the Walking Dead. I think most people were happy to see this Padre saga come to a close, I think, and see where that goes next. And happy to see this story move on to whatever they're going to do for the close involving Troy, probably. It's hard to let the show go, and I don't know when it's coming back. And I hope it doesn't come back for a while so we can digest this part of the season a little bit while we break down The Walking Dead Dead City, for fuck's sake. We have to do this. We have to get on here tomorrow night live. Are you guys excited about the rest of Fear the Walking Dead? Are you happy that this Padre saga is closed?
I'm very happy the Padre saga is closed. So I didn't love it to begin with. So
I mean, I'm always
over.
excited for for what's to come on Fear, no matter what, because I love the show, as everybody who's watched me in the last 6 episodes can tell. June is still alive, so I'm in it.
I've made it this far. I'm not going anywhere. Am I excited about it? Madison's still here and Sarah's not. So that's
what
where
about
I'm
the
at.
Padre saga closing? At least is that you're okay with that? Could they have done more with it?
Yeah, I think they could have done a lot more with it. I don't know. I guess we'll see what direction they're moving in the back half. Because if it's literally just Madison running around trying to find these kids' parents, that sounds super boring.
No, I think that's how it's going to probably start out.
So tired of hearing the word Padre. Don't care if I never hear it again. I'm so glad that they're done with that. Shrike and Crane were terrible villains, and it was kind of boring. And I'm including season 7
Maybe
in
Martha
that.
was
I'm
their
including
mom.
season 7 in that too.
Hashtag bring back John Dory. That's all I have to say.